Hey there, I see you sitting in the shadows. Welcome to Keep Creating You. This podcast was created to bring Generation X women a plan and strategy for the next part of their life. Are you one of those women who lived in their 20s and 30s raising children, and you found yourself looking at your life and wondering, what's next? Then this podcast is for you. We discuss how to look at the next half of your life and decide what your next steps will be. Whether that is creating a business, starting a side hustle, or maybe you plan to stay in the career you love. How do you plan to get the most out of your life? How do you plan to keep creating you? Join me for this episode as we discuss a few steps for the next part of your life. Hey there, welcome back. So we've talked a little bit about being coachable. We've talked a little bit about doing something you love. We've talked about some changes. We've talked about some growth. If you haven't listened to any of those episodes, I really suggest that you just go ahead and take a look back. Those are episodes 1, 2, 3, and 4 of the podcast, Keep Creating You, where Gen X women are learning how to move on to the next stage of their life, how we're going to look at that next stage and what we're going to do with that next stage. So today, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about where do you see yourself in 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, and more. So where do you see yourself in the next year? Are you going to be still sitting at that same desk? Is your business, if you have a business, is your business going to be growing? What kind of growth are you expecting? Is this a monetary growth? Is this you're going to hire a new team member kind of growth? What is it that you're looking at? Personally, where do you see yourself? So there's two sides of the story here. So there's growth in all aspects. We're not just talking about business. We're also talking about personal. We're talking about what is our next steps in life? And right now, that could mean something different for you and for me. And it could be something personal and something business related. Or if you don't own a business, career related, right? So I'm going to suggest that you take a few moments to write down any kind of personal changes of where you want to see yourself in 1 year, right? What do you see yourself doing in a year? Are you going to be moving? Are you going to be 10 pounds lighter? Are you going to be 10 pounds heavier? Are you going to be a grandparent? Or maybe you're going to go a different direction. And are you planning a wedding? Or do you foresee that you personally are going to be buying a new car? Do you think that you'll be taking a vacation? Do you think you'll be seeing an increase in your revenue, in your salary, in your wages? Do you see yourself in a different job? Now, look at that plan. See, what do you think? How can you make small, growing changes, doing something that you love, and moving forward on that? What can you do with that? Because we all know, and this isn't difficult, that making small changes every day leads up to big changes over time, right? And we've talked about changes. We've talked about how to make some changes. But when your changes are quantifiable by time, that makes a big difference. So if you look at your timeline and you say, next year at this time, I would like to start a business. Sure, let's do that. What do you need to do? What are your steps? What's the next step? What are you thinking about? You know what? I'm going to step back. I'm going to ask for a different one. What if you decide in a year that you would like to be a published author? It's been something that you've always wanted to do. You have a story that you want to get out there, but you just don't know how. You just don't have time. Or maybe you do have the time and you do know how, but you just haven't felt the urge to start writing. So you consider that writer's block. Let me tell you that making small changes, just writing on the paper every single day, something, anything, I don't care what you write, just writing on the paper every single day will just start to get those creativity juices flowing. I have been telling people this for so many years when I owned the store. The more you're creative, the more creative you'll be. So if you create every single day, you're going to create a wonderful piece at the end. So, and people don't believe that. So I'm going to back that up just a little bit. There's a couple of things. And I know we're talking about where you see yourself in 1 year, 5 year, 10 years and more. But I think this is a really good analogy here. Somebody comes into the classroom, they sit down, they're going to create. They don't know what to do first. They have no idea. They're like, you know what? I'm here for a class. What am I going to do? And I say to them, we're going to talk about an art journal class here because those are my most popular classes. Choose a color you love. Do you know that 9 times out of 10, that person chose the color they were wearing? Do you know why? They didn't have to make a decision about it. There was no decision. They look down, they see the color they're wearing, and they go for it. Did they realize they did that? Probably not. Actually, I'm going to actually go forward and I'm going to say they didn't, because 9 times out of 10, I would say to them, oh, you chose the color you're wearing. Look at that. So didn't she. Oh, look at that. So didn't she. Stacy, if you're listening, you are super good about always choosing a different color, always having a different palette. And there are those people out there that can envision a different palette and will choose their favorite colors or will choose the colors that they love. Let's go back to those people that choose their favorite colors. So maybe the color of shirt you're wearing wasn't your favorite color and you choose that color. So then when you look at your art journal after a couple of months, what do you see? All the same colors because those are your favorites, right? But that's okay. You can change that a little bit up. Maybe it's not always the same yellow. Maybe it's a bright yellow, then it's a dark yellow, then it's a orangey yellow or a greeny yellow, whatever. You create that every day and your mind is just going to expand. And your mind's going to say, I used that color yesterday, that color yellow yesterday. Let's add a little orange to that yellow. Let's add a little green to that yellow. Let's add a little purple and make brown to that yellow. And then you have a little bit different because the more you use it, the more you just go forward and you create, the more creative you become. If you do something today and you do something tomorrow and you do something the next day, do you think that's going to change you? Do you think that's going to end up getting you to that 1 year goal that you have in mind? Whether or not that be, I want to create an art journal today. I want to create that book that I've been thinking about. Or maybe it's, we'll go back to the old analogy I used a couple episodes ago. I'd like to paint the living room. I don't like the beige color anymore. I want to change the color. Okay. So who's to stop you from painting this 6-foot section today? Do you have to paint the whole thing? Nope. You can just paint this 6-foot section. You paint this 6-foot section this week. Next week, you paint that 6-foot section. Or maybe you don't have time next week. Maybe this is a monthly thing. And you're like, you know what? I can only paint this 6-foot section today. And next month, I can maybe do 12, but probably only another 6 foot. But in 3 months, when I see the progression start, I'm going to be like, you know what? I'm going to just continue this. I'm going to continue it because I can see the progression. I can see where it's going. So just keep going, keep moving forward. And after a year, hopefully you'll get the living room walls done before the year's up. But if not, even if you slowly do this over time, after a year, you're going to have new color on your walls. What the heck? Why not? Right? So where do you see yourself in 1 year? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? So 5 years is a little bit further out. And sometimes people say, I can't think that far. These are the times when you kind of make more lofty goals, right? Not the loftiest goals. Those might be 10 years or more, right? But the lofty goals. So say to yourself, I've been wanting to do a trip to Australia. Flights are ridiculous. Who knows what it's going to cost? But you know what? I have this jar and I'm going to put a couple bucks in it every day. Or, all right, yeah, that's probably unrealistic because nobody carries cash, right? So let's say I'm looking at my bank statement on my phone, which is probably much more accurate. I've logged in and I have a savings account. And every time I get that paycheck, I'm going to put in $50 or 25. 25. It depends on how often you get paid, or what your goals are. But after 25, right? You put $25 in every week for 52 weeks. And what's that going to be? You put $25 in every week for a whole year, and you're going to have $1,300, right? So after 5 years, that's going to be $6,500. Do you think that's enough to go on vacation with? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe that's when you decide, you know what, I'm going to put in $50 a week. That's $13,000. That's enough for a really great vacation, right? Who knows? I don't have any idea how much it is to get to Australia. But these are the things that I'm talking about, the goals. If you are looking to do a vacation to Australia, just think about it one day at a time, 1 week at a time. Just go forward and just keep your eye on that goal and just go for it. And I'm not saying that it has to be front of mind every day. Nope, don't. But maybe you have this as something that you are striving for on a weekly basis, right? You have to put that $50 into your savings account every week when you get paid. So you have to think about it. You get paid. You're like, oh, there's my paycheck. Thank you so much. Or I'm freelance, so there's no paycheck here. So the client pays and I'm like, oh, thank you so much. I'm going to put that money into the savings. And I know in 5 years, I'm going to go to Australia. So much of us want everything now. And sometimes that is just not doable. Sure, absolutely. If you want to go to Australia on a credit card, feel free. Your life, do what you want. But you could make the different change just to do it and kind of save up for it, right? Kind of go with that direction. So whether or not you're looking at 1 year, 5 years, or even 10 years and beyond, have a goal in mind. Where do you see yourself? What do you want out of yourself? In 10 years, do you want to be a successful business owner? Do you want to be retired, right? So just think about that. Think about where you want to be and then start going for it. We were told as little kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? And now we're in our 40s or 50s and we're thinking, I'm grown up. I'm not where I want to be. So get there. Let's work on that next step. Where do you want to be in 1 year? Think about it. Where do you want to be in 5 years? Let's go for it. Where do you want to be in 10 years? We can do it. You just need to start thinking about what it is and keep that goal somewhere. Write it down, put it on the refrigerator. Remind yourself that that is what you want to do when you grow up. Thank you for listening to Keep Creating You. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you like the show, I would love it if you'd hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast player so you don't miss an episode. I would also totally appreciate it if you gave me a rating or a review. I'd love to know if this information is resonating with you. If you're looking for more information about myself or this podcast episode, you can find that over at kpcreativemedia.com/podcast. You can always find the links and resources mentioned on the show there. And if you're looking to start your own podcast, let me know. I'd love to help you. Let's talk about your idea. What's your next step in your life? Until next time, see you soon.